Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the thriller suspense films from 2023, titled The Passenger. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. The movie opens with a terrified little boy watching in horror as a woman bleeds profusely from one eye. The scene cuts to a young man named Randy, who wakes from this haunting nightmare. It's already morning, so Randy gets ready and leaves the house. Not long after, he arrives at his workplace, which turns out to be a burger joint located in a rural area. Before starting work, the manager, Hardy, gathers everyone together, and we meet other employees such as Benson, and a couple named Jess and Chris, who are inappropriately close at work. Hardy briefs everyone about their duties before scolding Chris for not paying attention, and for keeping the place in a filthy condition. Afterward, Hardy sits down for a private meeting with Randy, and asks him about his aspirations, only to discover that he doesn't have any. Hardy then praises his work ethic, and informs him of a new manager position opening at one of their branches, stating that he would be an excellent fit. However, instead of looking happy, Randy appears uncertain, so Hardy decides to give him some time to think about it. After thanking him, Randy gets to work, right when Chris asks if they were talking about him. Randy says no, but Chris starts goofing around with the restaurant's microphone, and says vulgar things to his girlfriend. Randy is irritated by this, and tells him to knock it off, which only provokes Chris further. He now starts bullying Randy and making insulting remarks, before handing him a spoiled burger to eat. Seeing this, Benson tells Chris to stop, but the bully threatens him, saying that if he gets involved in his business, he'll turn his life into a living hell. He then turns his attention back to Randy, who reluctantly begins eating the spoiled burger just to avoid further confrontation. The sight deeply disturbs Benson, who storms out of the restaurant, and opens his car trunk to retrieve something. And then, in a shocking turn of events, Hardy arrives and is horrified by the scene. The terrified man runs to his office to call for help, but Benson follows him, and ends his life as well. He then turns to the screaming Jess and demands she be quiet, but when she doesn't, he shoots her to death as well. Upon seeing all this, Randy starts crying in terror, and even though Benson steps forward to shoot him, he surprisingly spares him. Benson then forces Randy to help move the bodies to the back, and the terrified boy has no choice but to comply. The two then place the lifeless bodies in the freezer together, after which Benson takes Randy's phone to ensure he can't call anyone. After cleaning up all the blood, they shut the restaurant door to appear as if it's simply closed for the day. Following this, Benson forces Randy to get into his car, after which they drive away. On the way, he says there are 5 hours left until the afternoon shift starts, and when they call the cops, it will take another hour to find the bodies in the freezer, and another hour to figure out what to do about a triple homicide. That gives them at least 7 hours, so Benson is confident that they can drive as far away from the restaurant as possible without getting caught. A while later, the two stop at a roadside diner to eat something, during which a waiter named Marcia arrives to take their order. Benson begins chatting with her, and learns that she has been a waitress for 20 years, and has 2 kids. He then shockingly starts insulting her for wasting her life, and asks when was the last time she did something that mattered. Offended, the waitress walks away angrily. This shocks Randy, but Benson assures him it's no big deal, and it doesn't affect the waitress's life in any way. He then calls out Randy for being weak, and says it saddens him that at only 20, he already looks more pathetic than everyone else in town. Benson goes on to say that Randy is special, which is why he chose to spare him even though he was ready to die earlier. After breakfast, the two resume their road trip, and Randy clarifies that he's actually 21, and didn't finish high school until he was 19, instead of 18. He admits he had to repeat 2nd grade, because his mom didn't think he was ready. Benson laughs upon hearing this, and says that Randy needs to stand up for himself, and stop letting others control his life. Shortly after, the two arrive at Benson's house, where he greets his mother, who is bedridden and sick. Benson gathers more weapons, and warns Randy not to touch anything. While he briefly leaves the room, the old woman notices blood on Randy's shirt, and asks what it is. He nervously says it's ketchup, but she says that it doesn't look like ketchup, and asks him to hand over her phone. A terrified Randy complies, but before he can give her the phone, Benson reappears and strikes him, reminding Randy that he had made it very clear not to touch anything, so the latter apologizes. Benson even lashes out at his mother and tells her that she can't make any damn calls. Upon returning to the car, Benson makes it clear to Randy that all he wants is to help him, and sternly warns him not to get in the way. Back at the burger joint, another worker arrives for her shift, only to find the place closed, which strikes her as suspicious. Returning to the boys, Benson asks Randy about his personal life, and soon learns that he doesn't have a girlfriend and is still a virgin. Randy further reveals that he once had a girlfriend named Lisa, but they broke up after her cat died. Benson bursts out laughing at this, and finds it absurd that Randy never dared to confront her for ending things over something so trivial. Afterward, Benson says he has an idea, and insists they must go visit Lisa. He tells Randy to confront her, and demand to know why she dumped him. Meanwhile, an officer arrives at Benson's house, implying that the worker from earlier has alerted them about the dead bodies. Shortly after, the duo arrives at a mall, where Lisa works at a Build-A-Bear style store. She is surprised to see her ex after so long, and he asks to have a conversation. She explains that she's busy preparing for a party, as a group of second-grade kids will be arriving in an hour. Randy thus decides to become a customer, and suggests they can talk while decorating the stuffed animals. Afterward, Randy finally asks Lisa why she broke up with him after her cat died. She explains that it wasn't about the cat, but rather that he didn't care about how she felt at the time. She says he was always so closed off, and never talked about the things he liked, his dreams, or even his family. She also points out that they never discussed what happened to him in second grade. When she broke up with him, he didn't even try to stop her, which made her feel like she didn't matter, but Randy insists that she did. At this moment, Benson approaches them, and asks Lisa what she's doing after work. Randy fears that he might do something dangerous, so he quickly urges him to leave before the kids arrive. Benson surprisingly listens to him, and they say goodbye to Lisa, who senses that something is off. As they walk away, Benson tells Randy that he doesn't understand all the fuss over Lisa, and doesn't think she's worth it. Moments later, Randy's phone rings, and it turns out to be his mom, so Benson reluctantly allows him to answer. She seems extremely overprotective, and asks Randy where he is, and who he's with. She demands that he come home before dinner, and even tells him what he should wear. After hanging up, Benson finds the whole situation strange, and tells Randy that he's an adult who should be able to make his own decisions instead of being controlled by his mom. And so, Randy finally decides to open up and tell Benson what happened in second grade. He reveals there was a teacher named Miss Beard, whom everyone loved, including him. One day, the kids were playing in class when Miss Beard got annoyed and scolded Randy. He got angry that she singled him out instead of everyone, so he retaliated by using a slingshot to fling an eraser at her eye. The impact caused permanent damage, and when she returned to school, she had to wear an eye patch. The kids began calling her Black Beard, and the other teachers also mocked her, which depressed her to the point where she couldn't leave the house. This incident was the reason Randy's mom decided he had to repeat second grade. Upon hearing all this, Benson is stunned, and asks what she does now, to which Randy responds that she eventually went back to teaching. Here, Benson comforts him, and assures him that it was just an accident. Randy, however, disagrees, and says this is why he kept letting Chris bully him, and ate the spoiled burger, because the one time he reacted, he ended up ruining someone's entire life. Hearing this, Benson feels very bad, so he decides that they will go meet Miss Beard, so Randy can confront his past demons. The two soon arrive at the school, where Randy begs him not to do this, so Benson hits him hard, and tells him that this is what happens when he doesn't react. He wants Randy to live a real life, so they must find the teacher, and see if she's truly worth Randy ruining his life over. Next, the two boys enter the school, where Benson speaks with the receptionist, and learns that Miss Beard is not present today because it is a Saturday. She refuses to provide her address, so Benson finally tells her about Randy, who gouged the teacher's eye when he was a kid. He says they are leaving the city tomorrow, so Randy wants to meet her one last time to apologize and make peace. Upon hearing this, the woman finally agrees to help, and begins searching for the address in her files. Just then, a teacher named Mr. Shepard is seen leaving the school, and Benson immediately recognizes him. He asks if his full name is Elliot Shepard, and if he used to teach 3rd grade at Central Elementary. The old man confirms this, and Benson just explains that his friend used to go there. Mr. Shepard then leaves, after which the receptionist gives the boys Miss Beard's address, and tells Randy that he is doing the right thing. But then, as they leave the school, it seems Benson holds a personal grudge against the old man, who probably did something bad to him in the past. He even pulls out a gun to shoot, but Randy intervenes and tries to calm him down. He reminds Benson how he has been doing all of this to help him, and that they should focus on finding Miss Beard. Surprisingly, Benson listens, and the duo drives away from there, leaving the old man battered and badly injured. Not long after, the two boys finally arrive at Miss Beard's house, where she tells them it's late for visitors. But she recognizes Randy, and excitedly greets him with a warm hug, leaving him completely speechless. She invites them inside, and they sit down to have a conversation over tea. Miss Beard is surprised to see Randy, and he explains that he got her address from the school. He begins apologizing for what he did all those years ago, but his attention is suddenly drawn to her photos, which reveal she is now married and has a daughter. However, the teacher reveals that she's divorced, and reassures him that he doesn't need to apologize. She explains that everything happens for a reason, and that her life before losing her wasn't particularly great either. Meanwhile, a distressed Benson is seen vomiting in the bathroom and struggling to calm himself. Elsewhere, Miss Beard says she was worried about Randy, and was thinking the whole experience might have shaken him. She explains that she never hated him, because hating a 7-year-old boy is exhausting, and she commends him for being brave enough to come see her, which not many people would do. Moments later, Miss Beard leaves to put the cups in the kitchen, during which Randy notices her phone and quietly steals it. Benson also returns from the bathroom and suggests they should leave soon. The teacher asks how they know each other, and the boys explain that they just work together. At this moment, Miss Beard's landline rings, and she answers, only to hear some distressing news. After hanging up, she tells the boys that their vice principal was just assaulted outside the school and, tragically, died on the way to the hospital. Miss Beard asks Randy if he saw anything while they were there, but the boy nervously says no. She then notices fresh bruises on Benson's knuckles, and grows suspicious. Realizing this, Benson immediately pulls out a gun and points it at her. Randy tries to stop him, but Benson insists he won't get caught because of that shit-stain old man. The woman tearfully explains that she has a daughter, and Randy reminds Benson that he brought him here to help him. Benson realizes he's right, and decides to take the teacher with them as a hostage. Soon, the three drive away, and Miss Beard asks Benson where they're going, and if he attacked the vice principal. But he angrily orders her to shut up, and states he was going to shoot her, but only spared her because of Randy. He further says that Randy was his experiment for the day, so he was helping him work out a few things, and she was a part of it. At this moment, Randy asks if they can stop to use the restroom, which Benson flatly refuses. But when Randy continues to insist, they eventually pull over at a diner, where Benson gives him just 2 minutes to relieve himself. And so, Randy rushes to the bathroom and secretly uses the teacher's phone to call 911. He explains that there's a scary man with a gun, and provides them with the address. After the call, Randy breathes a sigh of relief, and returns to the table, just as Marcia approaches, and confronts Benson about making insulting comments about other people without knowing their struggles. Another waitress asks her to calm down and leave, but Marcia insists that it must be the deranged man who should leave instead. Annoyed, the insane man does this.
Take back what you said! Back up!
He tells her he doesn't care about her life, and that he was just trying to prove a point. Before he can hurt her further, Randy yells at him to stop, and says that what he's doing is pointless. The two begin to argue, during which Benson suddenly hears police sirens, and frantically demands to know who called them. He thinks it's Miss Beard and tries to kill her, but Randy intervenes and gets shot in the shoulder instead. Worried, Benson rushes to check on Randy and asks why he had to do that. He apologizes for shooting him, and Randy reveals that he was the one who called the cops, leaving his friend feeling betrayed. Randy assures him that he's still in charge, but Benson claims that he was never truly in charge, and storms out of the diner. The police order him to get on the ground, but Benson pulls out his gun, causing him to receive multiple shots and eventually die, while Randy watches the entire scene unfold in terror. Sometime later, we see Randy babysitting Miss Beard's daughter at her home, and he appears to be doing better now. Shortly after, he receives a call from his mother asking if he's coming to dinner, but he declines, saying he's spending time with friends. The teacher then hands him his pay, and Randy thanks her before leaving the house. The movie ends with the little girl's toy collection, showing the two stuffed animals that Randy and Benson had decorated together at the mall. Okay guys, thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.